Well, happy Labor Day. It is September 4th and not a lot going on in the tropics overall. If you were watching last week or the past several weeks, numerous named storms, we don't have any out there. We have the remnants of some storms out there. We have the remnants of Gert now moving off into the North Atlantic, and that is what's left of Katia, which was a very short-lived tropical system. However, we are watching two tropical waves, one here off the coast of Africa that will likely curve off into the North Atlantic. It's this area that we're watching very, very closely, becoming better organized. I wouldn't be surprised if later tonight or tomorrow we already have a tropical depression on our hands. Right now, it's classified as an area of investigation. You've heard us mention that before. We start out at 91 and then we go to 99 and then we go back to the beginning of the list, and the L means that it's in the Atlantic Ocean. But again, what that just means is we start running the computer models on it, and that's what we've started doing. Right now, the system is still here between the Lesser Antilles and the Cabo Verde Islands. It is moving west pretty quickly at 20 miles per hour. Here are some of the main computer models that we run specifically just for hurricanes. Now, we have some other models that run for other things. You hear us talk about the European model and the American model, but these are models specifically for hurricanes, and this is the 5-day forecast. And you can see they're all fairly consistent, carrying the storm here north of the Lesser Antilles. And this will likely be a tropical depression, a tropical storm, and probably a hurricane as we head through the next several days. If it gets a name, it would be Lee. So again, this is the next 5 days, fairly consistent, taking it here north of the Lesser Antilles. But let's take a look at a couple other things. This is the American model, and we talk about the ensembles. We've mentioned those to you before, and basically, we don't know exactly where the center of circulation is. We're just looking at it on a satellite. We don't have any Hurricane Hunter aircraft flying into it at this point to pinpoint the center. So we start with an initial position, and then we maybe move it north, south, east, or west a little bit as far as the computer models go, or we change its intensity just a little bit, or its pressure, or things like that. And what that means is every time we tweak it, we'll run the model again. So we run the same thing 20, 30 times, and we get slightly different outputs. You can see how they start in a little bit of a different place. And depending on the strength and the intensity and the location, we get all these different computer runs. This right here, that's sort of the average, that green line. And you can see some of them just clip the northern Lesser Antilles. Some carry it off towards the north and west. But if you take that average, it does bring it here closer to the U.S. coast by next Tuesday. So this is more than a week away. A lot can change between now and then. It depends on how strong an area of high pressure is over the North Atlantic and the Central Atlantic. We have a trough that's going to be moving through as we head into the weekend, a cold front that's going to break some of this heat. How fast that gets in here, whether that could pick it up and curve it off towards the east. That's the American model. Now, the European model, typically a more reliable model, they're not quite running the ensembles on the system just yet, but we can look at the regular European model, and here's this system. Here's that wave coming off the Africa, and you'll be able to see that move off here into the North Atlantic. But here's what it looks like as we go here through the next several days. Here's that disturbance continuing to intensify here east of the Lesser Antilles. This takes us into midday Friday. You can see here still north of the islands. Here's that other system that I was mentioning. That's going to move off into the North Atlantic. So let's take you then into the weekend. Here's Saturday. You can see the storm is definitely strengthening. Likely by this point, by next Sunday, likely looking at a hurricane here just north of Puerto Rico. And then into early next week, European model starts to stall it a little bit by Tuesday. There's that other system, by the way. And this takes us into Tuesday and then Wednesday and then into Thursday. Strong system here south of the island of Bermuda. So this takes us more than a week away. This takes us all the way into September 14th. And the European model doesn't go any farther than this. And, you know, what happens from there, whether it curves towards the United States, moves towards Bermuda, curves off into the North Atlantic, remains to be seen. But again, a long time to watch it. But I think it is a storm that we are going to have to watch because it is going to make a run here close somewhere towards the U.S. East Coast. Now, it might be several, 400, 500, 600, 700 miles east of us towards Bermuda, or it might get a little bit closer. But it is something that we will be watching, a lot of time to watch. And of course, we'll continue to have updates on air and online.